This is a reading video for My Hero Academia Season 3, Episode 23. Click in the link in the description below to go watch my reaction, and then come back here to see my full thoughts and theories about this episode and what happened in it. So click away now, or be spoiled as to what happened in this episode. Okay, so a lot happened. Tons of character development. I love it. It was great. Animation was gorgeous too, as well. Like the fight scenes were was so cool. Seeing Bakugo and Deku just, well, I mean, they didn't go all out, right? Because it wasn't like a battle to the death sort of thing. Like Deku going up against Muscular, for instance, like going that like in depth on saving somebody that he broke his own body to do it. Like that didn't happen this time around. It was just like kind of a brawl, but at the same time, it's just a fight between friends, or friends, frenemies, rivals, basically. And I called that before All Might said it, which is funny. But yeah, so I did really enjoy the whole conversation with Bakugo. His actually hearing his thoughts about like everything that went down and why he blames himself for All Might's retirement, and all the little pieces and little bits and like hints and so on and so forth towards Deku being the successor of All Might. Him putting the pieces together in his own mind. Nobody else it was not like Bakugo was going around telling people about these things, and then they're like, oh yeah, maybe it's this. He worked it out all himself. So to him to do that, and then in a way keep it a secret until confronting Deku. He went to the arena strictly to confront Deku about this matter in his head that he's been working out, kind of thing, and it happened to be true, kind of thing. Everything that he was saying in his mind, it's true. I mean, Deku did lay out breadcrumbs, and I guess also All Might as well, kind of thing. And anyway, both of them have kind of laid out a bunch of breadcrumbs all throughout their time at UA, basically, to kind of just be like, maybe they are one and the same in a way. Like, maybe Deku did take his power. Like, it's surprising that Bakugo, of all people, was the one to first, consider the possibility that Deku took All Might's power, kind of thing. I mean, I know the general public have very little to, know about the inner workings of UA and so on and so forth, but I'm surprised, Aizawa, for all intents and purposes, he hasn't figured it out. I mean, maybe he has. I don't know. He hasn't said anything about it. But to have Bakugo literally just go not a mental breakdown, but an emotional breakdown, to just prove himself, kind of thing, and test Deku and prove that even though Deku has All Might's power, he is still better than him. Kind of the stuff like that. It was, oh my gosh, it was so cool. Having him at the very end and effectively beat Deku in this kind of brawl, kind of duel kind of thing, and in the very end saying why did you allow this to happen? Why did you lose? Kind of stuff like that. Even though he won, he's still mad that he won. He wanted to win, but at the same time, he's pissed that he won because it's All Might. It's everything that embodied All Might is now inside Deku, kind of thing. What made All Might is inside Deku. So for him to literally beat the number one hero with his own novice hands, effectively, amateur hands, whatever you call them, it's made him pissed. It's almost it's almost like other comic book series and that kind of thing, like DC and Marvel and that kind of thing. Uh, if like one of like the top heroes of those things, like Superman, for instance, if Superman all of a sudden, for some whatever reason, gave his power to somebody, and then that person is like still trying to learn their power, and then just dies off because like they were too weak to handle it, the fan base would go ape over it. They're like, "Why did this happen? Why, all this kind of stuff." So this is exactly what Bakugo is thinking in his mind, kind of thing. His number one hero, his favorite hero of all time, All Might, just passed down his power to somebody, and they lost to his own power, his own personal power. So it he wanted to fight because he wanted to kind of prove that uh, who was stronger, kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword kind of thing. Like, sure, he beat Deku, but the one who has All Might's power lost. And that's something that All Might never did. All Might never lost a battle, to my knowledge, anyways. Maybe he did early on, but it's always like the number one hero kind of thing. I mean, I guess in some instances he does have his moments of like downfall where like villains get the better of him, kind of thing. Like with the whole bar scene where they captured all the villains and they saved Bakugo, and then that's when All for One decided to teleport everybody around, and then that's when like it was like erupting out of Bakugo's mouth and like teleporting around. While that was happening, All Might was like jumping to him like no, kind of thing, and then like when he disappeared, he's like lost it, kind of thing. So stuff like that happens, but I mean overall, like that's a battle against Titans when like All Might and All for One were battling. Like that's like you can't fault All Might for losing some aspect of that kind of thing. Like he he chose to kind of communicate with All for One, and make All for One kind of get in his head and like throw off his game in a way. Um, so stuff like that, in a sense, in those kind of small battles, in within that one big battle, the Titans kind of thing, those small little battles, All Might lost a couple of those kind of thing, but in the grand scheme of things, leading up to this big kind of battle of the Titans kind of thing, um, All Might kind of never to like maybe rarely lost on camera kind of thing. On camera, he always wins. He always saves everybody. He always gets there fast, deals with it, destroys them, captures them, whatever. And then having that power be shifted to somebody else, and then their immediate like loss, when like one head-on battle with them kind of thing. That like broke him in a way, like why'd you lose, stuff like that. Like it was such an emotional episode, like for the characters and so on and so forth. Like I was hyped up on like what was happening. Like I was tearing up a little bit, not so much because of the emotional side, but I was tearing up because of just how epic it was. Because like we never actually saw a full-on, full-scale battle like versing the two of them since their initiation into the Hero Association, UA. When Bakugo was the villain and Deku was the hero, and their first clash kind of thing. Deku was on the ropes the entire time, with like the exceptions of like the flip and that kind of thing, and the updraft, whatever kind of thing. Those small exceptions, but overall, I mean, Bakugo had the upper hand the entire time in that battle. So it was pretty one sided, but Deku learning how to overcome his weaknesses to like to All Might's power and so on and so forth, was what won the battle. But to have both those characters that we've known since like season one, the first episode kind of thing of both characters and the sludge monster and so on and so forth, to have them have basically just like a knockout brawl, like a versing each other, was intense. Like it was so freaking cool, and like scary because I didn't know when it was gonna stop. Like I wasn't sure if Aizawa was gonna interrupt it, or at first I thought it was some kind of like mystery person kind of thing, stopping Aizawa, and then it turns out it was All Might kind of thing. But um, I was thinking Aizawa was gonna come in and probably stop them, and then the whole uh, scorning them and getting them both in trouble and then so on and so forth. It's actually pretty cool that they have security robots like patrolling this kind of sub city kind of thing for like curfew people or curfew breakers, I should say. Um, is pretty interesting. I would think they had like cameras instead of just like a camera robot that like walks around. But I guess a camera robot is better than just a single camera looking at one direction, kind of thing. So it works out, I guess. But yeah, so having them have just like the most intense of battles. I mean, it wasn't like I wouldn't consider that an all out brawl. Like I said, they weren't like going to kill each other kind of thing. Um, and stuff like that. Like it wasn't a battle to the death. It wasn't a death battle in a sense. Um, but it was still really cool to see them. Well, for one thing, to have Bakugo like I keep saying this, but like an emotional state, like trying to fight Deku, and Deku's just dodging him to the best of his abilities. Um, and then while he's like just trying to fight him and explain why he's like upset and so on and so forth, like that was intense. And then the moment it like kind of switched and Deku was like, "All right, we're doing this," like that was freaking awesome. And he was like going like the next gear like 8% power, like that was super freaking cool. Even like what everything he's done like in that battle was only 8%. Like that is blows my mind. I cannot wait until he actually becomes 100% like All Might with those powers kind of thing. Or not powers, but the fighting style that he fights with Deku. Um, Having him be at 100% is gonna be so cool. So I don't know. I'm hoping to see some cool stuff from now on. Now that he's like at 8% and he's using his legs, we're gonna see some pretty badass things for sure. So next up in the series we have episode 24 and 25, which are the final two episodes of the series. In terms of theories on what's going to happen, I have no clue. They didn't really leave too much in the way of like, this is going to happen next, kind of thing, like kind of small teaser hints at what's going to happen next. So I'm assuming it's probably going to be maybe some villain things. I would assume some villain things at some point. At some point, probably some villain things. Because the show does have a really good tendency of not so much balancing, but have a good mix of hero and villain side of the story kind of stuff. Because that's the premise of the show, right? Everyone's a hero or a villain, and then the citizens in between that are like affected by the exchange between them, kind of thing. So we've seen a lot of heroes, and they hinted the fact, or not hinted, but they showed the fact that the villains were at the licensing exam. So whatever they're planning, like, I don't think whatever they're planning is going to take place within 2 episodes of the final episodes, kind of thing of the season, kind of thing. I mean, I guess, how many episodes was the season 1 finale with the villains attacking? That might have been just 2 episodes. Or 3? Might be 3 episodes. I think so. Yeah, I guess they could. The villains could do something, but it would seem kind of rushed if they did it. I mean, depending on how they do it, I guess. If it's like a small time like thing to kind of lead up to like season 4, then it's fine, I guess. I mean, some conclusion, please, but like don't leave me off like a huge cliffhanger where like the villains attack UA and like everything's blowing up, and then it's just like, what are we gonna do? And then just cut to black, and then we have to wait till season 4 to come up, kind of thing. Like that would suck. But if they did attack, did something to UA, kind of thing, interrupted whatever once again, I can definitely see them possibly having enough content there to push it out 2 episodes. But at the same time, even season 1 had like an after episode, after the villains attacked, kind of thing. They had like an after episode to kind of wrap things up for like the end of season 1, kind of thing, to lead into season 2. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's gonna be cool though. I hope. Anyways, I hope it's cool. But going based on this episode, it's very cool. So yeah, I cannot wait for next episode. It's gonna be freaking cool. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 24 of My Hero Academia. Thank you, everyone.